Developing news coming out today, January the 2nd, 2025, as we are hearing that the attack that took place in New Orleans is actually linked in many ways to the Trump Hotel explosion that happened in Las Vegas, as more information is starting to pour out. Now, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did you think this to begin with? A lot of people saying there's no such thing as a coincidence, that these were linked. As we are hearing, both took place on January 1st of 2025, New Year's Day, which we had heard was a potential day for attacks to unfold. Both involved vehicles and explosive devices. Also, both of those vehicles rented on Turo. Also, both involving suspects that had military U.S. backgrounds. And we're hearing both likely persuaded by ISIS to become attackers and taking a turn. Now, like I said, a lot of this is developing. I'm going to be sharing with you the latest coming out as we're hearing this morning that those details are being divulged on also the Trump Tower explosion that took place. And a lot of people initially thought that maybe that was just a battery that went as faulty in that Cybertruck vehicle that exploded in front of the Trump Hotel. However, we're hearing no, not the case. Video footage coming out. I'm going to be sharing with you right now so you can see it, as they're saying this was an explosion, a detonation that was intentional. Take a look at the latest headlines with me. Who was Matthew Livelsberg, the U.S. Army veteran named as a suspect in the Cybertruck explosion? Also, we're hearing the New Orleans attacker suspect discussed plans to end his own family and join ISIS in a chilling recording. Here's what we know. And also wanted to share with you that there was reports overnight of a shooting that took place in New York. NYPD says, though, this is not an attack, an act of terror, as there was 10 shot outside of a NYC event space on New Year's Day. So they're saying they believe this was potentially gang related, but not an act of terror like we are seeing that unfolded on the 1st. Now, I'm going to give you the latest information coming out on that. And also, right before I went live right now, somebody notified me. Thank you for all of those that reach out to me here on the channel, the community that supports what we do here, keeping people up to date on the news. Somebody reached out and let me know we are hearing at this very moment, it is currently 9:58 a.m. Central Standard Time, January 2nd, 2025. There has been an emergency situation room meeting called by the White House. We're hearing that Biden is going into that right now. Now, I'm trying to find information on it. I don't see anything at the moment, but we're hearing that it is likely due to what unfolded with New Orleans, and now we're also hearing with Las Vegas, as we're hearing that these are linked. These are various acts that are orchestrated. These are the sleeper cell groups we've been hearing warnings about. These are not sole actors. We're hearing these are connected. We're hearing in New Orleans the day before, there was individuals that were out there with explosive devices, and there was also an arrest that took place yesterday in Houston linked to the attack in New Orleans. So various cities now involved. We're hearing that these are being confirmed to be acts of terror, attacks on U.S. soil. They are linked to groups that are here that have come in. And a lot of these we're also hearing recruited that are local U.S. individuals, and also both of them from the same military base. Excuse me. But let me go ahead and play for you the latest video footage that's coming out so that way you can see it for yourself. And Vic the Red, thank you for the $2 super chat, says, God bless America. Amen to that. I agree with you 100%. God bless America, and let us pray for our nation and pray that we can have safety here, as we're hearing that these are connected. These are acts of terror on U.S. soil. These are orchestrated. They are connected, and there are a lot of connections between the two that unfolded yesterday, and a lot of people saying, yes, they felt like this was no coincidence. And let me know again, do you feel like, did you have that feeling? Oh, let me see here. I got something else coming out here. Okay, so breaking news. Now, listen to this. FBI briefing America on Fox News, saying that they believe now possibly that this individual might have been acting on his own. So it's changing back and forth on the news updates. So I will keep you up to speed, but I've got information coming out here where they're saying they believe that these are linked and that it's not. So, but let's take a look at this footage, because we actually saw this back and forth taking place yesterday. We had heard them say this was not an act of terror. Then they said it was, and then they said it wasn't. And then we had an individual come out that was a former FBI individual that said on a news report with Fox News, don't listen to those reports. They're just trying to be careful of to what they're saying. It's going to come out. This was an act of terror. They also said they believe that they were linked to other people and that this was a sleeper group. Now, we will see. I will keep you up to date. Let's go ahead and take a look, though. Let's see here. Cat Scratch is saying it'll be live in 10 minutes. Okay, so there might be an address here very soon. I will keep an eye out for that. Let's go ahead, though, and take a look at the video footage so that way you can see it for yourself. As to the updates that are coming out. Now, this one coming out, it says authorities suspect Cybertruck driver had a military background. Let's go ahead and take a look so you can see it for yourself.
We have new video just in of a Tesla Cybertruck that police say was intentionally detonated outside of the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas. This is, as of this morning, being investigated as a possible act of terrorism.
As of right now, our number one goal is to ensure that we have the proper identification of the subject involved in this incident. Following that, our second objective is to determine whether this was an act of terrorism or not. I know everybody's interested in that word and trying to see if we can say, hey, this is a terrorist attack. That is our goal, and that's what we're trying to do.
All right, CNN Chief Law Enforcement and Intelligence Analyst John Miller is with us. CNN Law Enforcement Analyst and former Secret Service Agent Jonathan Wackrow is with us. We're going to dig into a lot of different things right now. John, first, just what's the latest on the Las Vegas investigation?
Well, the Las Vegas investigation is taking an interesting turn as they get deeper into the profile of the individual who rented the vehicle. Now, let's go full stop here for a second. They believe they know who rented the vehicle, but they are not 100% certain that that is the person who's in the vehicle because that body, because it's badly burned, has not been identified. But the renter, like the New Orleans suspect, is military background, but not former military. He's active duty military with 19 years plus of service, and he's part of Special Forces Command. He is highly trained in communications, electronic measures for bomb detections, intelligence operations. He would be one of the most sophisticated in terms of training people in the Green Beret.
Okay, just so we're talking about these two different things, the similarities are both rental electric vehicles from this Turo place, both military backgrounds, explosives in both trucks, both attacks happened on New Year's in tourist locations.
That's right, and that is why they say we can't eliminate the possibility that they're connected. And yet, if you look at New Orleans, where he does 5 recordings apparently in the dark as he's driving, towards Louisiana from Texas, he's talking about family problems, financial problems, his life coming apart at the seams, and that he's joined ISIS, and that's why he's doing this. If you look at Las Vegas, so far, it appears that they don't have communications or a clear motive from the individual who's in that truck.
All right, so Jonathan Wackrow, right now we have warrants being executed in New Orleans at Airbnbs, in Houston at the home of the New Orleans attacker, I guess in Colorado at the home of the person tied to the rental vehicle in the Las Vegas attack. We're 24 hours in. What's taking so long here in this search process?
Well, the search process needs to operate in different phases. One, you have to actually go to the court to get those warrants themselves. You have to swear out in front of a magistrate and make sure that the legal process and the legal justification for going into these locations is validated. From there, it's not like what you see on television where the police just rush in and look for items of evidentiary value. What they actually have to do is, because we have explosives that are involved here, you have to first make sure and focus on officer safety and scene safety. So what's going on is explosive technicians are going into these sites first, not looking for items of evidentiary value, but ensuring that there's no primary explosives, that there are no booby traps, that it is safe for the investigators to go in and then conduct a very methodical search for everything that's on that warrant and anything that's within plain sight that is of evidentiary value that can be used to then piece together, to really find a motive and the intent for these different attacks.
And again, one of the things John Miller pointed out right there, in New Orleans, you do have this trail of radicalization. Mm-hmm. In Las Vegas, we don't even have a name yet, so we don't have anything like that just yet.
Yeah, we don't have a name, and we also, like, the targeting locations of both are different, right? Because one, you had a known event, you had, it is a target of opportunity, it's a soft target, where you knew from a targeting standpoint that if I launched an attack there, the likelihood of high casualties was going to be there. The secondary at Las Vegas is a different construct. 9:40 on, or 8:40-ish on New Year's morning in Las Vegas.
That's a good point.
Not a lot of people there, so you're not really launching an attack. While it is an iconic site, it is a site like, because it is the former and
It's a Trump hotel.
Trump Hotel. That there is significance there, but in terms of causing damage. And then the second part of that, and John and I were talking beforehand, is what we know potentially of the driver of the Cybertruck with the military background using low-order explosives, basically gasoline and black powder pyrotechnics, is not going to give you the blast radius that you need in the overpressurization to cause damage to the building or damage to others nearby.
Also, something about the behavior of the truck beforehand, John, you were talking about?
Well, he gets into town, and there's a combination of things. License plate readers that track him through Las Vegas from the moment he enters town, but also from Tesla, every place he stopped driving from where he started in Colorado Springs to charge that vehicle till he gets to Las Vegas. So they've got a good timeline. He spends about an hour driving around the Strip. He stops at a motel along the way for a period of time, but an hour before the explosion, he enters that driveway with his vehicle and does a slow pass around past the valet people and everything. And you have to ask yourself, what's he doing? To Jonathan's point, is he saying, it's 7-something in the morning and there's not a lot of people here, I'm going to come back in an hour and see if there's a bigger crowd? Or is he just doing his reconnaissance as a military operator would, which is, who stops you where am I going to place this? So it's going to be, so the Elon Musk vehicle is going to be right under the Trump sign. We don't know what the symbolism that they were going for in this attack was, but I mean, they're looking at all of that. The idea that he drove through an hour beforehand is suggestive.
So we were 24 hours into this. I mean, almost literally in the Las Vegas thing, a little bit more in New Orleans. What do you think the next big piece of information will be, or what's reasonable to expect that we could learn soon?
Well, we're going to start getting information from these search warrants, right? And we're going to start understanding, from the localities of, both attackers, their residences in Houston and other locations, what can we garner from that, right? And I think, we have more information, more direction with the New Orleans attacker as opposed to Las Vegas right now. But that will change once we, identify the body, once we get these items of evidentiary value, we start piecing together, and trying to, figure out what is the motive here, what is driving both of these attacks, and are they connected? We have some threads here of connectivity, but again, the way that these attacks were launched, to me, signals some sort of differentiator.
I mean, how long could it take in Las Vegas to get some kind of confirmation one way or the other of ISIS ties, which I think would be hugely significant?
Well, if ISIS is going by its own playbook, they would have, if they recruited these people online, they would have obtained martyrdom videos from one or both of them. We've got clues from the self-made videos from the New Orleans attacker, which tells us a lot, but nothing yet from the Las Vegas piece. But ISIS could come out with their own communique if they're connected that way, or we could see something completely different. I mean, as Jonathan points out, there's two critical factors here, which is, who are they working for, if anybody? How were they recruited? The second factor is, who else might have been involved? We're seeing signs of that in Las Vegas, in New Orleans. We're not seeing signs of that yet in Las Vegas.
I got to say, this was a great discussion. Leaving it with more questions in some ways and answers and perhaps bigger unknowns than I anticipated. We'll check back in with you throughout the day, obviously.
So there you have it, you guys. Now, let me know your thoughts as they are saying that. Well, there's still a whole lot of questions on this, but a lot is coming out. As I mentioned, we're hearing that both had military backgrounds. Both, they believe, might have been recruited by ISIS. Both using rented Toro vehicles, and also both doing this on January 1st. Now, they did mention that they thought that strategically the one that took place out front of the Trump Hotel was not the best decision. The time of day wasn't very crowded, the explosion, but Yet again, he also used a Cybertruck, which they said is probably one of the worst picks that you could use if you wanted to cause a lot of damage, because it sort of encased the explosion. So it makes me think that the individual that conducted this particular attack didn't really think through it very well. As they are saying, that it does appear that that is what he wanted to do. He wanted to wreak havoc on people, that this was an attack. But let's take a look at this here. Who was Matthew Livelsberg, the U.S. Army veteran named as a suspect in the Cybertruck explosion? This coming out just today. Local media identified the 37-year-old Special Forces veteran as the driver of the Tesla Cybertruck that exploded outside of the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas on New Year's Day. Now, you can see video footage of the explosion. We're also going to be playing that for you here in just a second. And it says, just hours after Shamsud Dimjabbar rammed a truck into the New Year's Day revelers in New Orleans, ending the lives of 15 people, reports came out in a second suspected terror attack in Las Vegas. In the early hours of Thursday morning, media outlets in Colorado named Matthew Livelsberg as a man who detonated a Tesla Cybertruck outside of Donald Trump's Las Vegas hotel at 8:40 a.m. on Wednesday. Now, police are investigating whether it was a terror attack. Livelsberg, 37, of Colorado Springs, lost his life in the blast, with seven others sustaining minor injuries, police said. Officials have not yet confirmed the name of the suspect or identified any of those who were injured. The two New Year's Day attackers were both Army veterans, and according to the reports on December 7th, allegedly served at the same military base, Fort Bragg, and even served in Afghanistan around the same period as well. So you're starting to see the connections here. They're saying they believe both of them served in the military, both influenced and essentially recruited by ISIS, both serving at Fort Bragg, both even served at Afghanistan, both around the same time. So they're saying they believe that these individuals were compromised. This is what they are suspecting at this time. In addition to that, Livelsberg and Jabbar rented their vehicles via the car-sharing company Turo, officials have said. Authorities are investigating a possible link between the two men. At the time, they were fighting in the Middle East, and the U.S. had around 100,000 military personnel in Afghanistan as a part of the President Barack Obama's troop surge. Now, according to CBS, law enforcement sources said that Livelsberg was in active duty with the Army, serving in Germany, and was on leave in Colorado at the time of the incident. His wife allegedly hadn't heard from him in several days prior to the incident, sources have said. Now, Livelsberg spent 18 of his 19-year Army career with the Special Forces, according to his LinkedIn profile. He is believed to have joined the Green Berets as a communications specialist in January of 2006 before becoming an operations manager and team sergeant in February of 2023. The profile picture on his account shows a man sporting winter gear, armed with an assault rifle, standing atop a snowmobile in mountainous terrain. His most recent role from November of 2024 was listed as a remote and autonomous system manager for the Army. Now, Livelsberg earned a summa cum laude, an award given to students earning the highest grades in their class, after graduating from Norwich University in Vermont with a degree in strategic studies and defense analysis, according to the social media profile. It also stated that he earned the Department of State Meritorious Honor Award for interagency contributions that resulted in increased interoperability and efficiency while serving as the operations sergeant as Special Operations Commander forward. I better get some more coffee. It's hard for me to read right now. Brain isn't operating correctly. Now, this individual reading this sounds like he was very well educated. He was very successful, had a strong background. So it's very interesting to see that they're saying that he potentially could have been swayed by ISIS to do this. We will see. Now, also, like I said, all of this is just speculation at this time. We'll see if we get additional confirmation in how he was involved. Now, they do say he was the individual that was in the Cybertruck. Let's see as more unfolds. I'll be sure to share here on the channel. Livelsberg often commented on posts from military personnel. In a comment on one viral post from an Air Force veteran, he responded to a question noting that the government was responsible for making people believe that they were responsible for others' student debt. Erasing student debts was a signature Biden-era policy. At the age of 22, Livelsberg began collecting clothes, toys, and educational items for children and disseminating off humanitarian aid while serving a tour in Afghanistan, he told the News Journal in his native Ohio. Now, appealing to U.S. citizens for donations in January of 2010, he told the outlet, "Handing out humanitarian assistance continues to be one of the few approaches of gaining the credibility and loyalty of the people of Afghanistan, and I believe you are directly contributing to our success at ground level," he said. Now, his wife, believed to be Sarah Livelsberg, wrote on Facebook in May of 2016 that she was a registered Democrat. She posted a picture of a graphic commissioned by the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee appearing to show Donald Trump, which read, "Stop bigotry." She captioned the post, "Perks of being a registered Democrat. I can't wait to slap this baby on my truck." Sarah Livelsberg shared photographs of the two together, posted almost a decade ago. In one image from April of 2016, the pair posed for a selfie with Livelsberg sporting a camo backpack. In another from July of 2015, Livelsberg can be seen with a tattoo of a bald eagle and the American flag on his shoulder as he poses with a dog. A Facebook account that appears to belong to Livelsberg shows a heavily tattooed man holding a baby, with its profile picture updated in September of 2024. Details on the Sarah Livelsberg Facebook page and information released about Livelsberg's age match reports from officials. One post from 2015 reads, "It is my old blank husband's 28th birthday." Sources told Denver 7 that the multiple addresses had been associated with Livelsberg, with the FBI awaiting a search warrant for one resident on Mark Shelf Road late on Wednesday. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives have been brought in to assist, according to reports. Authorities continue to investigate the explosion as a possible act of terror. An official with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department told ABC News, but a potential motive is not yet known. At this time, we are investigating a number of leads, and I'm not prepared to release any of that information to you just yet, Las Vegas County Sheriff's Kevin McMahill said in a news conference on Wednesday yesterday evening. "I can tell you that there are 7 victims right now that have sustained injuries from the explosion." Now, with that, let me go ahead and do something better than reading it to you. Let me go ahead and pull that up so that way you can see it for yourself. This is a short clip. It's about 12 minutes long. I'm going to play it for you. They're going to play for you the video footage. They're going to give some information. Now, this was from yesterday, so they had not yet identified the suspect. As I have just shared with you, he has now been identified as of this morning. But let me play for you what it was that they discussed yesterday, and it's also going to show the explosions, the video footage. You're going to see it all right now in this clip. So let's go ahead and take a look so you can see it for yourself.
Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I'm here to give you really a brief update on what occurred on Las Vegas Boulevard this morning. As you know, we just had our New Year's Eve event where we successfully protected the city, where over 400,000 people were here last night. And that changed this morning at about 8:40 when a 2024 Tesla Cybertruck pulled into the area valet of the Trump International Hotel. Very quickly thereafter that, the driver, who was the sole occupant of the truck, we saw what looked like maybe some sort of smoke, and then the truck exploded. Smoke was coming from inside of the truck after we noticed the flash and the explosion, and I'm going to show you that first video. That's the Cybertruck parked right in front of the doors. Can you play that again, Carlos? So the individual that was in that truck is obviously deceased, still in the truck as we speak here today. Our fire department folks, Engine 12, a number of others. You'll hear from one of the fire chiefs here in just a moment, arrived very quickly along with my officers. And obviously we knew that we had a much larger event than just a vehicle fire. And so there's going to be a drone video that plays to my left again. You'll see as the fire initially, they covered it with the tarp to try to get it to go out. Once the fire went out through the suppression efforts of the fire department, you'll see some of the evidence in the back of the vehicle. So those are gasoline canisters. They are camp fuel canisters and large firework mortars. What I also would like you to pay attention to on that video, as you see that, it looks like the exterior of that truck is completely intact as it sits there. The fact that this was a cyber truck really limited the damage that occurred inside of the valet, because it had most of the blast go up through the truck and out. In fact, if you look on that video, you'll see that the front glass doors at the Trump Hotel were not even broken by that blast, which they were parked directly in front of. You can see that in the video there. What I will update, I'm very well aware that there's a name already been reported out into the media. I am not going to confirm any names to you as I sit here today, because I cannot do that with 100% certainty of who the individual is. What I can tell you is we do know the truck was rented in Colorado. We were able to trace that truck through the Tesla charging stations, and it arrived here in Las Vegas this morning at about 7:30 and went up and down Las Vegas Boulevard before immediately pulling into the Trump Towers. Unfortunately, there were 7 people that reported injuries during this incident. All of them still remain as minor injuries and were treated at UMC. I would like to thank the Resorts World, because as you know, we had to close down the Trump and evacuate it, as well as the Fashion Show Mall. And the Resorts World was very gracious in taking those hundreds of individuals in over there, housing them and feeding them prior to us being able to completely clear the hotel. The hotel and Fashion Show are back open for business. The Trump will remain closed as we continue this lengthy investigation as we move forward. I'm going to yield now to Chief Billy Samuels, but I'd like you to also recognize all of our exceptional elected officials that have come to support the police and the fire department and this community in remaining safe. There is no further threat to the community as I sit here today. And I just want to make sure that our community understands we believe this to be an isolated incident, and it is now over as far as the danger. So, Billy?
Thank you, Sheriff. I'm going to reiterate some of the stuff that the Sheriff has spoken upon. Engine 12 did arrive within 4 minutes of dispatch, did extinguish the fire with assistance from the sprinkler systems, and along with that electric vehicle blanket that we use on those operations. We did encounter 7 victims, all stable. 2 of them were transported to UMC, who have since been released. They were transported by community ambulance. A total of 13 units from Clark County Fire with 26 personnel, and then 4 units and 17 personnel from Las Vegas Fire and Rescue assisted with this operation. We always do appreciate the support that we get from our hotel partners, as the Sheriff was mentioning with Resorts World. RTC did lend us 10 buses so we can refuge the people that were evacuated from the Trump Tower. Community Ambulance for their transportation for us, Las Vegas Fire and Rescue, and Nevada Division of Emergency Management. And we do appreciate their support, so we can't do that without them. And like the Sheriff said, last night was a huge success, but we are prepared for whatever comes our way. So thank you for that. And I will turn this over to Special Agent in Charge, Jeremy Schwartz.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeremy Schwartz. I'm currently the Acting Special Agent in Charge for the FBI here in Las Vegas. The FBI is currently conducting an investigation on a vehicle explosion, as the Sheriff had just shown you a little bit ago. That's being conducted through our JTTF, which is a Joint Terrorism Task Force. I want to make sure everybody understands that the task force is comprised of law enforcement officials from the entire valley here. We're not doing anything alone, and we wouldn't do anything alone without our partners making sure that we're all in lockstep. We've learned from mistakes in the past, and we're not going to do that again. We have a great relationship with our law enforcement partners, and we're going to continue to do so. As of right now, our number one goal is to ensure that we have the proper identification of the subject involved in this incident. Following that, our second objective is to determine whether this was an act of terrorism or not. I know everybody's interested in that word and trying to see if we can say, hey, this is a terrorist attack. That is our goal, and that's what we're trying to do. We have a ton of resources dedicated to this right now, and again, we're doing it with our partners. We're doing it together, jointly, and we'll continue to do so until we figure out exactly what's going on. I think most importantly, as the sheriff already mentioned, we believe this is an isolated incident. We do not believe that there's a bunch of folks out there supporting this or helping this, and we don't believe that there's any other danger to the community right now. But again, over the next few hours and days, we will continue to do our best to research that as much as we can and get to the bottom of this, and we won't stop until we're 100% certain as to what happened and why. Thank you.
So I just want to clarify again so that I don't get these questions. We do know who rented the truck. We are looking at that individual, but I am not prepared to release the name of any of the individuals that we are looking at least until next of kin is notified and we have a 100% identification. So with that, I'll take any questions you might have. I can't see. Hi, Dana.
Do you think it's a coincidence that there were these kinds of incidents on the same day, basically, in two tourism capitals?
Do I think it's a coincidence? I don't know, but what I can tell you is we're absolutely investigating any connectivity to what happened in New Orleans, as well as other attacks that have been occurring around the world. We're not ruling anything out yet, Dana.
Sure. Is there any possibility that this had a link to ISIS? There have been suggestions that the New Orleans attack might have.
Yeah, so the question is there any links to ISIS? And I will tell you that we don't have any indication of that here in Las Vegas, no overt ISIS flag as was seen in New Orleans. But again, we are investigating every aspect of this, and if that comes to light, we'll certainly update you. I'm sorry, sir.
What was the time between the truck's arrival and the explosion?
About 1 hour was the amount of time between the arrival of the truck here in Las Vegas, or at least our first notification of the arrival and the explosion that occurred at the tower.
How long was it in the porte-cochere before the explosion?
It was only there for about, it was sitting in the porte-cochere for about 15 seconds before it exploded. Was that 15? Where'd Dory go? The 15 to 20 seconds. I just want to make sure I gave you the right info.
The connection of the Elon Musk, Tesla, Donald Trump connection to be interesting from an investigative perspective?
Well, I mean, it's a Tesla truck, and we know that Elon Musk is working with President-elect Trump, and it's the Trump Tower, so there's obviously things to be concerned about there, and that's something we continue to look at.
Have you all found re-examined security procedures at hotels?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that question. Do we need to re-examine security procedures? You know, we were very successful in the night before. I'm surprised this happened, to be quite frank with you, and that's certainly something we're going to have to look at in target hardening, what that looks like. But to your question, Dana, I did forget to mention that I have authorized what we call an ABX roster to continue for the next 2 days, which is my New Year's Eve staffing plan of over 1,000 officers, both in our community neighborhoods as well as on the Strip and downtown, in partnership with all of the other law enforcement agencies, City of Las Vegas Marshals, North Las Vegas, Henderson, just to ensure that even if we had a copycat or somebody else wanted to go up and conduct an attack, that we have the appropriate and available resources to handle it.
Have you all found any devices inside the Cybertruck that could have been used to set off those explosives?
No, the question is, did we find any devices that would be used to set off the explosives? And the answer is no, I don't know how they were ignited. Clearly, with what you see in there, something set them off, but I don't know what it was yet. We haven't been able to process the vehicle yet.
Has LVMPD been in contact with Tesla Code to get analytics from the vehicle, cameras?
Yes, actually, I have to thank Elon Musk specifically. He gave us quite a bit of additional information in regards to how the vehicle was locked after it exploded due to the force of the nature of the force from the explosion, as well as being able to capture all of the video from the Tesla charging stations across the country, and he sent that directly to us, so I appreciate his help on that. I'll take one more question.
Musk is claiming that this
I'm sorry, you got to speak up for me.
Elon Musk is saying this vehicle and the vehicle in New Orleans were rented from the same company. Has there been any other indication that these two events might be associated?
It's another, the question is both vehicles, I'm being told New Orleans was rented from Toro and so was ours. That's another coincidence that absolutely is continuing to bear from our investigation that we have to continue to look into. So thank you very much. And as we get additional information for all of you, I'm sorry, I'll give you a chop.
Are you investigators using any of the city license plate readers this evening?
That's the question is, are we using the license plate readers and the technology? Well, one, you see the drone flight through the vehicle because it was unsafe to get there, so that we're using that technology. Thankful to have it, as well as the first indication of that vehicle arriving here in Las Vegas came from a license plate reader. So technology has been very useful to us in resolving this. And again, I'll commit to come back to you all when we have confirmation of the suspect's name, who they are, what their background is. We will get that information back out to you. We'll call another press conference and provide it. I'd just like to, again, thank the mayor, the commissioners, the other.
So there you have it, you guys. So those are the updates that came out yesterday. You saw the video footage now. They are confirming that this was not just some incident that unfolded, and there are now links, they are saying, connected to all of this going on. They're saying both of these individuals had military background, both from stationed in Fort Bragg, both in Afghanistan around a similar time. They believe both potentially could have been recruited by ISIS to commit these acts of terror, and also both happening on January 1st, both renting these vehicles from Turo and involving this. And we're hearing that some of the training, they believe, that comes from ISIS when they recruit individuals over, they're saying involves them saying, hey, get a vehicle, ram it into a crowd, explode it, do all these different things. And so they're saying it appears to be very similar, and maybe not a coincidence that both of these taking place on the same day. And I see Michael Gale saying, Steve, I'm an Army veteran and I really don't understand how they could do this. I know, absolutely. It's shocking, because I think most of the time when you think of our own military veterans, people that have committed their lives to serving our nation, trying to support it, it's very, very fascinating to see them kind of be corrupted and turn against us and vowing allegiance to these Islamic extreme groups. So very, very sad, but it is going on, and it then raises the question, how many others have gone this route as well, as we're seeing that these two individuals seem to have gone this way. And we're also hearing that both of them sort of abandoned their family as well. We're hearing that the one individual was potentially threatening to end his family's life, the one from New Orleans, and then the other one as well, we're hearing he stopped contact with his wife for quite some time, and then this whole thing unfolded as well. Now, in addition to that, a lot of people were mentioning that they had seen that there was a shooting that took place overnight, and so if you missed it, yes, the NYPD says that this was not an act of terror, though. After 10 people were shot outside of an NYC event on New Year's Day, they're saying they believe this was gang-related, but this unfolded last night as well. Now, in addition to that, as I mentioned, speaking of things being connected, we heard that the officials have searched the home of the individual in Houston. So he was from Houston. He did the attack in New Orleans, and we're hearing that that unfolded, and there was actually arrests that unfolded. So let me go ahead and share with you the video footage so you can see it for yourself. And if you haven't done so yet, I think I forgot to mention this. Take a second, hit the like button for me, help spread this out further. Subscribe if this is your first time here and you want to stay up to date. I'll keep you up to speed on everything so that way you know exactly what is going on. And also, speaking of that, turn on the notifications if you haven't done so yet, because while I am live, we have got notified that there is a Situation Room meeting taking place right now in the White House. And we believe that it involves these attacks that are happening in various cities around the nation, which we're hearing are linked, which are hearing could be coming from groups. They had heard that New Orleans, they said they believed he did not act alone. Yet just right now while I'm live, I also saw that the FBI is coming out and saying they believe he might have been a lone wolf actor. So, like I said, developing news as it's coming out, I'll be sure to share. But let's take a look at this as we're going to be getting some more information. This just coming out in the past hour from Fox News. Let's go ahead and take a look.
A live look at New Orleans, where the FBI is hunting for potential accomplices in yesterday's deadly terror attack. This as we get new details on some of those who were killed. Good morning. I'm Rich Edson. Bill and Dana are off. Hi, Molly.
Good morning, Rich. I'm Molly Line. This is America's Newsroom. Officials have yet to name the 15 people killed, but families are speaking out. Among the dead, an 18-year-old nursing student, a former college football player, and a young mother. We'll have more on them in a moment.
Meanwhile, we're learning more about the man police say plowed a rented truck into the crowd before opening fire on police. His name is Shamsuddin Jabbar. He's an American Army veteran from Texas. President Biden says he was inspired by ISIS.
The 42-year-old was killed in the shootout with police. The FBI does not believe he acted alone. Authorities are hunting for possible accomplices.
Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry just spoke on Fox and Friends. He says his state is in mourning.
It's a somber day here in the city and around Louisiana. I mean, we have parents that are going to have to, that are making funeral arrangements as we speak, that are waiting to have their loved ones released to them. And again, I mean, each of those is a reminder of the terrorism that exists and people and the evil out there that they want to afflict on America.
Another story we're following, the explosion of a Tesla Cybertruck outside of Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. The blast killed the driver. At least 7 others were injured. Investigators say they're looking for possible links to the massacre in New Orleans.
Team Fox coverage. Jeff Paul has the latest from Las Vegas. But first, let's go to Garrett Tenney in New Orleans. Hey, Garrett.
Yeah, Rich, good morning to you. The top priority for investigators right now is tracking down anyone who was involved in this attack, the planning of it, but especially in carrying out of this attack. We have learned that investigation includes an Airbnb rental here in New Orleans where a fire broke out yesterday morning just hours after this attack. Louisiana's Attorney General says that they believe that the individuals involved used that Airbnb as a home base of sorts to make at least some of the improvised explosive devices that were found around the French Quarter early yesterday morning. We have also learned that hours before this attack, the 42-year-old suspect, Shamsuddin Jabbar, posted videos on social media about his support for ISIS and expressed a desire to kill people. This past hour, though, New Orleans police chief gave some conflicting information to what we've been hearing from other officials and said it is not a sure thing that other individuals were in fact involved in this attack.
There are some people of interest that I know that the FBI wants to screen as to whether or not they were associated or not. So this is not an accomplice situation as of yet. They are looking at anyone and everyone who could potentially have been affiliated, and it may very well be that they're not. And it may be that this is a lone wolf. We do not have final confirmation on that.
Overnight, investigators in Houston started searching Jabbar's home as they worked to piece together a timeline of when and how he was radicalized and who he has been in contact with leading up to this attack. Rich?
Garrett, what are we learning about the suspect?
Yeah, well, we know that he is a U.S. citizen. He was born in Texas. He served 13 years in the U.S. Army and Army Reserves, including a nearly 1-year deployment in Afghanistan. He really doesn't have much in terms of a criminal record or history of violence as far as we've been able to find, just a misdemeanor for theft all the way back in 2002. As far as any changes in behavior that could suggest him being radicalized, a man who is married to Jabbar's ex-wife told the New York Times Jabbar had been acting erratically in recent months, so much so that the couple had to stop allowing the 2 daughters they share with Jabbar. They had to stop them from spending time with him. We also want to show you this video, which we got to warn you is hard to watch. This is of the aftermath of yesterday's attack, and as this investigation continues, we are hearing more from folks who survived this attack, including the man who shot this video.
Like, just the traumatic parts of it, of human nature and what anyone's capable of, like the bodies mangled, strewn, like several unrecognizable. And we had seen several of them talking, like just like me and you now. Only difference is we walked inside that door, 20 feet away from these victims that we're still breathing, probably not going to make it.
Yeah, and today here in New Orleans, there is a very heavy police and security presence ahead of the big college football game, the Sugar Bowl, taking place that was rescheduled from yesterday, moved to today in the wake of this attack. Tens of thousands of fans are in town for that game. Police say they are not taking any chances, and they will have all the resources needed from both the federal, state, and local level to ensure the safety of this event. Rich?
Yeah, more on that coming up. Garrett Tenney live for us in New Orleans. Garrett, thank you. Molly?
We are also monitoring another potential terror attack in Las Vegas. A Tesla Cybertruck exploded yesterday outside of the Trump International Hotel, killing the driver and injuring at least 7 people. Authorities are looking at possible connections between these two incidents. Jeff Paul is live in Las Vegas with the latest. Good morning, Jeff.
Yeah, good morning, Molly. And that is the question on everyone's mind when hearing about what happened here at the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. Was it somehow related to the terrorist attack in New Orleans? Well, at the moment, authorities say they believe this incident in Nevada was an isolated one, but they are investigating any possible connections between New Orleans and just terrorism in general.
I know everybody's interested in that word and trying to see if we can say, hey, this is a terrorist attack. That is our goal, and that's what we're trying to do. We have a ton of resources dedicated to this right now, and again, we're doing it with our partners.
Now, this all unfolded yesterday morning. Investigators say it involved a 2024 Tesla Cybertruck that was rented through Turo, the same app used by the suspect in the New Orleans attack. Authorities say the driver rented the truck in Colorado, where he drove to Las Vegas, eventually pulling up to the valet area at the Trump Hotel. Seconds later, witnesses saw smoke inside the truck, then there was a flash, and then an explosion. Inside was the driver, the sole occupant, and later investigators discovered gasoline canisters and large firework mortars. The driver died, but 7 other innocent bystanders were hurt. But the local sheriff says had it been a different vehicle involved and not a Tesla Cybertruck, the explosion could have been far more devastating.
The fact that this was a Cybertruck really limited the damage that occurred inside of the valet, because it had most of the blast go up through the truck and out. In fact, if you look on that video, you'll see that the front glass doors at the Trump Hotel were not even broken by that blast.
Now, in addition to the investigation surrounding any possible links between New Orleans or to terrorism in general, authorities are also looking into why entities owned by both President-elect Donald Trump and Tesla owner Elon Musk were involved. Both are obvious political allies and did a lot of work together hand in hand during the 2024 political season. So far, authorities haven't put out the name of the suspect, but again, they do reference that they believe he acted alone. Molly?
Yeah, certainly they'll be looking into potential political motivations. Jeff Paul, thank you. Rich?
There you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, a lot of people saying that a lot of similarities. They are saying it appears that these are linked. They said that both individuals served in the military. Both individuals served at Fort Bragg. Both in Afghanistan at the same time. And they're also saying both rented vehicles on Turo, both on the same day. Both, they believe, recruited from ISIS. Now, were these lone actors or were there groups? Now, we had originally heard yesterday sleeper cells, groups for New Orleans. They believe that it was a lone actor for what unfolded in Las Vegas, but we're still waiting to see more information. It is coming out. Now, while we are live, 2 things have come out, and I'm going to make sure to do more research, and I'm going to get you guys caught up in a following video today. But first, we are hearing that Biden is currently in the Situation Room. There is an emergency meeting taking place regarding the safety of these cities. We're hearing it has directly to do with New Orleans, but as soon as I get more information, I'll be sure to share. And also, we're hearing that now the FBI is coming out and saying they believe the New Orleans situation was a lone actor. Despite the reports and the news coming out that they believe that there was 5 individuals involved that were involved in, as you heard from the report, staying at an Airbnb, fashioning and creating their own explosive devices. There were explosive devices used in both of these incidences that they say they believe are ISIS inspired. Now, were they lone actors? Now the FBI is coming out and saying they believe New Orleans was. I just saw the headline come out. People mentioned that, but we will see. And you actually heard the chief of police there saying that she said that that they believe that there were other actors involved, but it's not been confirmed. They're not sure. There's still a possibility that this was a lone wolf actor. Now, as more information comes out on this, I will let you guys know, because like I said here on the channel, a lot of this is developing. This is breaking news. So if things change, which they appear to be switching around, seems like maybe they just don't have the information. People are coming out and saying things. Now, yesterday we had the exact same thing when they said, initially, we were hearing them say this is not an act of terror. Then we had an former FBI individual on Fox News saying listen, I'm going to tell you right now, this is an act of terror. It is going to come out. The fact that the FBI is involved in this and not just local authorities is an indication of what this really is. She was 100% spot on the money, but they were going back and forth there with the information. So as this goes back and forth, as we had heard, lone actor, now a sleeper cell, now FBI coming out as we're live saying, we believe it's a lone actor. Whatever it appears to be, whatever comes out, whatever unfolds, I will be sure to share with you here on the channel so that way you can know exactly what is going on. I'll cite all the sources, put it on the screen, read right from it, so that way you can rest assured that it is the latest and know exactly what is taking place. But I'll take a look at this information, people giving me updates while we're live. I'm seeing feeds coming out, but that is the latest as we're hearing that they do believe that there are a lot of similarities. They do believe that these are linked, that they are both ISIS-inspired acts of terror on U.S. soil, and that these could be sleeper cell groups, as we heard last night, but now they're saying could be lone wolf actors. Whatever unfolds, I'll be sure to share here on the channel so you know exactly what is going on. And if you appreciate that, do me a favor if you haven't done so yet. I see we got 3,410 people with me live. Take a second, hit the like button. We've only got 1,400 likes. If you appreciate the live updates, hitting the like button very quickly really helps out the channel, spreads this out further across the YouTube platform so more people can get the updates. Also, thank you for the super chats. Brass, thank you for the $2 super chat. Also, subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? I see I think it's roughly like a third of the people that watch are not subscribed. Just go ahead and hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. I'll keep you up to speed on everything, cite all the sources, put it on the screen, read right from it so you know that it is the latest. But that is it, you guys. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless.